Australia's sluggish economy is in dire need of stimulus to extend a record 28-year run without a recession. With interest rates at a historic low and wages stagnating, many Australians are reluctant to spend. Roger Maynard reports.
It's lunchtime at the Loaves and Fishes restaurant in Sydney. It serves nearly 1,000 meals a day, and everything's free. Many of the customers are the working poor, people whose wages have just not kept up with the cost of living. Others have health or family problems. Some, like John, have been homeless for years, and life's not getting any better.
It's the stagnation of wages over so many years. It's the, month-to-month increase of your basic groceries, your fuel, your household bills. Like, how high can all these items rise without wages keeping up?
John's currently living rough with his dog Barney, but for the Loaves and Fishes, he'd go hungry. The restaurant was started nearly 30 years ago by Anglican Church minister Bill Cruz.
Because the economy is so kind of flat, there's a lot of people who are one catastrophe away from homelessness, and that happens regularly, so that what we try and do is get these people into accommodation as quickly as possible, because ultimately it saves a lot of money. But there are all the time people falling out of the system.
Scenes like this provide a glimpse of the other side of the Australian economy, far away from the top end of town and the glitzy shopping malls. The government accepts there's a problem and is doing its best to stimulate the economy. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has just unveiled a range of personal income tax cuts so that people have more cash in their pocket. The Reserve Bank has dropped interest rates to an all-time low of 1% for the same reason, and more cuts are forecast in the year ahead. The aim is also to boost a struggling property market, where prices have slumped about 15%. Economic confidence is closely linked to real estate values in Australia.
Well, certainly confidence is important. There's very strong aspiration amongst Australians, not just for home ownership, but for investment in residential property. Of course, when prices decline, it does impact confidence. Also, it has a material impact on the wealth effect when you do see that principal asset or one of your principal investment assets declining in value.
At the moment, the mining industry is helping to keep the Australian economy afloat, but weak retail spending and little wages growth are all taking their toll.
Well, I think we have had sluggish wages growth for a long time, and we have had a per capita recession if you measure it that way. So there's some real effects, and I think the Reserve Bank's been pretty honest that it's doing as much as it can with low interest rates, but there needs to be a bit more help on the fiscal side.
Back in the Loaves and Fishes, the outlook is not encouraging as the gap widens between the haves and have-nots.
Sooner or later that gap is going to be so wide there'll be a cataclysmic change to the whole system.
The challenge facing Australia today is how to prevent more of the working poor from falling through the economic cracks. That won't be easy, with lower wages, a sluggish property market, the drought and a slowing global economy, all combining to place added strain on living standards generally. Roger Maynard, CNA, Sydney.